Hello and welcome to Core Finance. I'm Matt Brown. Happy Tuesday to all you traders. Joined by Ronnie Chopra, Chief Market Strategist at FIXI Markets. Good morning, Ronnie.
Good morning, Matt.
Right, let's kick off. Let's have a quick look at a few charts you brought along today. The Nikkei performed well. It's performed well over recent months, but has pulled back. What's going on?
Pulled back a little bit, but year to date it's still up about 20%, and it's got further to go. It's still my favourite index globally, as you know, and your other presenters. I've mentioned over the last year or so that, the Nikkei offers value, and it's going from strength to strength when you compare it to the other indices. Also, at the moment, we have, what's kind of pushing it higher is that their growth rate is far better than what was expected. They're doing very well with their exports, especially to China. Last month, I think they increased their month-on-month by about 30%, which is remarkable. Country of the size of Japan to do that. But they're benefiting from artificial intelligence. They're benefiting from Apple. They make a lot of the parts, components for Apple. And their car industry is doing pretty well. The yen is weakening. Maybe it should weaken a bit more and give more of a boost to the Nikkei. But it has been very strong of late. I mean, look where it's gone from September to where it is now. That's remarkable. That's 3,000 points. Equates to 15%, 14, 15% in the last 2-3 months.
And do you think this is a lot of fund managers globally have looked at the Dow and the DAX and said, look, actually, there is value here?
I think especially there's been a lot more momentum, I think, over the last few weeks with the Nikkei. And I think it's going to go from strength to strength. I mean, bearing in mind that this is still pretty much 50% of where it was in the late 1980s when it hit 39,000. So over the last 28 years, I've reiterated this before, that the Nikkei has underperformed the other global markets significantly over the last 20, 30 years. And it's playing catch up. So I think it'll probably hit 25,000 before the Dow does. Although at the moment the Dow's pretty much 1,000 points higher than where the Nikkei is at the moment.
Good stuff. Well, certainly onwards and upwards, hopefully, for the Nikkei. Let's move on to the pound versus the euro, the reciprocal to how it generally trades. Lot going on Brexit at the moment, and that seems to be one of the key drivers.
More so than Brexit. I think over the weekend we had the shock from Germany. And what was even more shocking was that yesterday, in fact, the euro strengthened against the dollar. It went above 118, which completely caught me off guard, because why would that happen when you're going to have all this uncertainty surrounding Germany over the next few weeks? And uncertainty means that the markets are going to get nervous. But yesterday took it in its stride. I mean, it's come back now down to, against the dollar, around the 117.40, 117.50 mark. But against sterling too, we're hovering around the 112. And we've seen a bit of strength this morning in the pound against the dollar and against the euro. But again, from a purchasing power point of view, 112 against the pound is far too low, especially with all the uncertainty now surrounding Germany with the election. We don't know. I mean, they're obviously going to have a coalition, but they don't know who's going to be the next chancellor. They don't know when the government's going to be formed. And also, if Merkel has to have another election, it's going to strengthen the right-wing party in Germany, and that too is not going to bode well for the whole of Europe and especially for the euro. I mean, the one thing that with a weakening euro, as with the weakening pound, as with the weakening yen, is that should give us a boost to the European indices, notably the DAX. But having said that, if you have all this uncertainty and Europe is basically in the process of imploding. I mean, there's so many uncertainties now surrounding Europe that I don't see much going for the euro at the moment.
But the economic data that is coming out is coming out, and I think maybe that's why we saw a little bit of an uplift yesterday. Germany, for the time being.
But I mean,
obviously, a few months down the line, if the issues continue.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a government in place, and if you have a strengthening right-wing bias, that does create a lot of problems. And that's one of the reasons why Merkel wasn't able to form a government, was because of the disagreement with regards to the refugees. And the refugees crisis is a major talking point for not just Germany, but for most of Europe. I mean, we see what's happening in Poland at the moment, and in other European countries where, you know, the right-wing parties are doing extremely well.
And it's probably quite apt we look at the DAX as well.
Right, yeah.
Again, a little bit of a pullback, but again, a positive year for the DAX. Is this a selling point now?
It's a strange one because, as we were saying, a weakening euro will give a boost to the German exporters, and they've got wonderful companies. I mean, obviously the cars, the appliances, the likes of AEG, Bosch, Miele. Cars, we all know, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Porsche. So if the euro does weaken, the price of these goods abroad become cheaper. So that translates into higher profits for the DAX. But again, we have a concern over who's going to be running Germany. So that the political aspect comes into play somewhat. It's a strange one. I mean, it's yesterday, for example, the DAX recovered more than 100 points from its low point. So it took the whole uncertainty in the German elections in its stride. But how long is that going to last for?
Are you neutral on the DAX?
I think from a trading point of view, it's very good because it does offer that volatility, especially over a short period of time. I mean, like compared to the FTSE's a tortoise in comparison, isn't it?
Yes.
This one knows how to move, and it's got some wonderful companies, as I've said. But yeah, the uncertainty surrounding Germany is of major concern now.
Well, we'll see how that pans out certainly in the coming weeks. But in the meantime, Ronnie from FIXI Markets, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.